Hello everyone and welcome! Today I have for you a really pretty pastel distress ink color combination, perfect for spring cards, and I will also use the distress inks as watercolors to color the image to make it pop. I went through my stash and I decided to use this stamp set with cherry blossoms. It's an older stamp set from Clearly Besotted. To make this card, the first step, as I was going to heat emboss the image, I first treated the cardstock with anti-static powder, stamped it with the Versamark ink, I sprinkled a white embossing powder over the image, and lastly I heat set it with my heat tool. By the way, the cardstock I'm using here is the plain white from Paper Mill Direct, which is a UK company. You can use any cardstock you like for blending. For example, I also like to use Canson XL watercolor paper. After I was done with the heat embossing, I started ink blending. I'm using the inks spun sugar, cracked pistachio, and squeezed lemonade. I started with the pink, which I applied over most of the stamped image, especially the flowers. I started with the pink because I only have one of these blending brushes and I didn't want to contaminate the colors, which did not really help because the brush was dirty anyway. Luckily, this did not destroy the blending. But after that, I switched to the regular blending tools from Ranger. On the right side of the panel, I used the green, and on the left, I used the yellow, and I was applying the colors diagonally. I wanted the pink to be over the flowers and the green at the bottom of the leaves. As I was applying the colors, I thought that this is going to be a disaster because the colors did not look good. But after applying a second layer and blending the colors together, the colors started looking really pretty. Actually, from experience, when using distress inks, usually the first layer doesn't look good, but adding a second layer and sometimes a third layer does the job. And blending the colors together is very important. So don't give up if you are not happy with the blending after applying one layer. Even though I really like the background, the flower looks a little bit lost. So I decided to use the distress inks as watercolors and color the flower. You can use the same inks for the green and pink, but I picked inks that are slightly darker, but that's completely optional. I used picked raspberry, pine needles, and for the branch I used ground espresso. I squeezed the inks on a laminated cardstock. Any slick surface would do, and then using my water brush I colored the image. Just a simple watercoloring to help the flower to stand up a little bit more. Also, I'm sorry I'm using all the stamp sets, but for most of the card examples you see online, you can use other stamp sets. You do not need to use what the crafter is using. This video is not about the stamps, but about the background, so pick whatever you have in your stash. Anyways, since I was using distress inks, I could not resist and sprinkled clean water over the panel, and then I used a paper towel to soak up the water. As distress inks react with water, this creates a very cool effect. Next, I adhere the panel and the greeting. To adhere the panel, I used a liquid glue and I used a grey cardstock for the card base. For the greeting, I used a different stamp set. I already had it pre-made. It's heat embossed in white on a black cardstock and it says congratulations. Lastly, I took out a few Nuvo drops and squeezed out a few drops across the panel. When I was squeezing out the drops, the third one, the clear one, didn't come out well. So to remove it, I took 2 small pieces of paper and scooped it out, and then I reapplied it at the same spot. So if this happens to you, this is one way how you can fix it. I finished up adding the Nuvo drops and the card is finished. Here is the card in a close-up. The drops are not fully dry, but I didn't want to wait. I put it to the side, away from my reach after I was finished filming. I hope you like this color combination and will try it yourself. If you would like to see more distress ink color combinations, just click on the playlist that is on your screen or go over to my blog where I have a whole section dedicated to distress ink color combinations. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.